Coach, again, it's great to see you. I think we're going to start calling this the Coach Pince Show.
Whatever ratings you have will clearly go down if you start.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome once again to the Dr. Z and J-Dub podcast presented by Provenzano's Deli and the Charger Athletics Fund. J.W. Stewart along with Dr. Z, Jay and Zenger, our UNH athletic director. Our guest today on the show, Chris Pincince. I sound like a broken record. I think this is his third time this season, fourth in the 2 seasons, but for good reason, Dr. Z.
Well, we keep winning. We'll keep bringing him back. We're on a little bit of a roll right now, so just stay with a good thing.
So on this past Saturday, the University of New Haven, led by our head football coach, Chris Pincince, beat Bentley for the second time in 3 weeks. The first game was for the NE10 championship. This time was to advance to the second round of the NCAA Division II football championship, which the Chargers did. The final score against Bentley was 38-13. The Chargers play at number 1 Kutztown on Saturday. So without further ado, let's bring in Coach Pince. He's got a busy week this week, especially. Coach, we mentioned 38-13 in the rematch against Bentley, with the stakes being even higher this time. And you've had a couple of days to digest that game. As you take a look back, what stands out to you about that victory?
I think that how great the kids performed in all three of the phases of what we're asking them to do, from a defensive standpoint, an offensive standpoint, and special teams. We won the field position game, and I think we clearly won the game in all three phases.
You beat them the same way you did 2 weeks prior with the running game. Did you really change anything with regard to what the play calls were?
A whole heck of a lot. We went in with some intentions to throw it around a little bit more quickly and kind of figure out what they were doing. And we did that early on, but then, smart guys up the street just kept lining up the same way. And so our guys were prepared for it. The O-line was ready to go. And, Zach Morrow and the gang in the back did a wonderful job of carrying the football.
Coach said something earlier about the 3 parts of the game. And as an observer, you find yourself expecting each unit to take over and do what they need to do. In any game, you're going to have ebbs and flows, but the special teams continues, as he said, to win the field position game. And it's really, really nice when obviously both offense and defense are having success this year, but that special teams comes in there and just, if they don't take the ball away, they advance the field position.
Coach, we talked last week about the unsung heroes, and obviously that's the offensive line, but it's not often we talk about a punter. Would you put Luke Sylvia in the unsung hero category?
I think both of our kickers, although Brian DeFelice, our field goal guy and a kickoff guy, was voted first team all-league kicker, I don't think we give him enough credit for 3 touchbacks in the game and another time popping it up so that they got a fair catch it back there, and the things that he's done there and being able to put the points on the board more often than not as a kicker. And Luke's done a great job. I mean, the freshman walking in the door here as a kicker, he's done it, all year for us, and sometimes in some not so great situations like Assumption and the driving rainstorm there. And, he's done a great job catching it. He's done a great job kicking directionally, and sometimes it doesn't look the prettiest out there, but the outcome and the coverage has helped us win at least 2 football games this year that maybe we wouldn't have been in.
Some of the stars from Saturday: Zach Morrow, 119 yards on 33 carries. Deb Holmes, 4 catches, 104 yards, including the big 77-yarder from Connor Dagenhart. Hunter Addison, coach, we've not really had a chance to mention his name much at all this season, but a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. Your thoughts on what Hunter has done this year, especially with Afiz Dingabisi being hurt?
I think, our entire 2 deep defensive line has been spectacular. On any given Saturday, a different kid has stepped up. And Hunter has been one of those guys here that kind of gone through his career, hadn't had a lot of great stats, injured sometimes, but committed to come back here for his senior year, even though he was, could have walked away and had some family issues and some life issues that he kind of put aside and decided to come back. And I'm excited for him that he's got a chance to play a whole bunch of football for us. He's there at the end. We've been pretty healthy. Other than Fizz getting hurt, we've been pretty healthy up front there. And Hunter's been one of those guys that's clearly taken advantage of his opportunity that's been given to him.
Mike Zakeen finally getting some recognition from the conference, the NE10 Offensive Lineman of the Year. Coach, any surprise there?
Best player up front for us. He's the best player in this conference up front. We probably would not have had the same number of successful situations, from a run game standpoint. If it wasn't for him. He makes all the calls up front. He's been great. With the exception of the one holding call he had on Saturday, he was pretty perfect out there. So he's done a wonderful job for us. He's going to get tested again this week. Hopefully we're up to the challenge.
Coaches never forget the small things, do they, Dr.
No, they don't. And, for a lineman to get an award like that, that comes from all the coaches because they're the ones who watch the game tape. The rest of us just kind of watch a melee out there on the field, and we see the quarterbacks and the running backs and the receivers and sometimes the DBs and whatnot. But the linemen on both sides of the ball, but especially the offensive side, the only folks who really know what they're doing are the coaches.
Yeah, it is our conference coaches that vote for the all league awards, and then whoever gets the most votes from an offensive line, the defensive line standpoint gets voted for the offensive lineman, the defensive lineman of the year. So the majority of our coaches, head coaches in our league, voted for Mike to be the offensive lineman, and they were correct. And unfortunately, those same coaches didn't make the correct decision and vote Khalem Cisse the defensive lineman of the year, but he certainly showed on Saturday that we believe that he is.
Did they get the coach of the year right, Vince?
They didn't have a choice. Our kids did a great job. Didn't lose any football games in the league. Won by an average of 23 points a game in our league. And so, although I see the ballots, and I know the one guy that didn't vote for us as a staff. So
we're setting coach up right and left here. The ball, you're just putting the ball on the tee over and over, Joe.
Coach, it's the first time you've won the NE10 Coach of the Year award. It's certainly something to be proud of, I would think. What are your feelings about winning that award for the first time?
I think it says a lot about the coaching staff that I was able to accumulate here. I think from the beginning of preseason camp, I haven't made any bones about the fact that I got the best coaching staff in this league, hands down, bar none. I would put our coaching staff up against any in Division II as well, and a lot of the FCSs. I got 2 former head coaches that work for me. I got a defensive staff that's been here with me for the most part for the last 5 years. Our special teams coordinator, Eric Crandall, spends a tremendous amount of time doing all that stuff. And, they might have named me the coach of the year, but it's definitely a staff award. And then because it's a staff award, we're not going to get rewarded as a coaching staff if we finish 5-5, if we finish 2-8. So it all rolls around to the kids and winning football games. But this is a team award, and that's the way we, embraced it here on the coaching staff wise. And, we were excited to be honored with that one as well.
Leadership, the team's played great, 10-1, won 9 in a row, as you alluded to earlier, Coach. A big one coming up on Saturday on the road against Kutztown, the number 1 seed in the Super Region 1. What do you know about Kutztown?
They can run the football with a variety of different people, right? Their quarterback, Eric Nichols, is excellent at running the offense. Their little running back, number 1, Jordan Davis, can scoot. And the big kid, 24, Jeremiah Nelson, the transfer from Temple, is an outstanding football player. He's 245 plus pounds. It looks like he's gained a little bit there as the season went on. So he's going to be a handful. They're all going to be a handful, as they run the football. They got a great offensive line, a lot of all-conference. I think it's 3 all-conference offensive linemen there running the ball. They like to do the time of possession thing, and, their scores have been indicative of that. They're averaging about 23, 24 points. They're giving up 12 points. So basically 3 scores to 2, and that's what we got to be ready for, from an offensive standpoint. Defensively, they're excellent. Up front, it's probably the best defensive line, maybe with the exception of Bowie. Bowie had some real All-American type guys. These guys are very good. And in particular, number 66, Ryan Myers, is a great football player interiorly. So our guys that have had some success here over the last month or so running the ball will be challenged this weekend, and we'll see what we can do against the best PSAC team out there.
Defense has risen to the challenge every week. I mean, every week it seems like you're playing a different type of offensive style. What do you think? How do you think the defense will respond this week against Kutztown?
I think they'll respond great, as they have, as you said, every single week. This team prides itself on running the football. We pride ourselves on stopping, the run, or at least committing enough people in there to make you throw the forward pass a little bit more than you want to. And I think our kids will be up for it. It's a unique situation where, they're not gonna, in the PSAC championship game, I think it was 8 of 11, right? And one of the other games this year, he threw 8 forward passes. So they're not gonna just throw it because you stopping the run. They're gonna commit to
It's
it.
coming up on Thursday, so a little different week in terms of preparing and going on the road, and noon kickoff on Saturday. What's the schedule for the rest of the week, Coach?
No, our kids, our school has been awesome for us. This is the last day of classes, but they're going to keep the place open for us on Wednesday. We're having a normal work day on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, and normal practice schedule. And then Thursday we'll change it up a little bit, and we'll practice a little bit earlier so that, we can have a full team Thanksgiving dinner here on campus at 5 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. And the guys that are coming on the trip will be there. A lot of the local guys and guys that wanted to stay for practice will be there. Our families, our coaching staff and their families, and our cafeteria people, Sodexo, have been great to us. Our school's been awesome for us to house us when they don't have to house us and to feed us when they don't have to feed us. So it's fully a team effort here to try to get us on the road, taking off on Friday morning.
Coach, last question. We mentioned it was it's going to be Thanksgiving on Thursday. What are you thankful for?
The opportunity to be here. We surrounded ourselves with great kids, great coaching staff. the chance to keep playing. That was our goal last week, was to go to work on Sunday, and we did that. And now we're going to be greedy and see if we go to work next Sunday now. And I'm thankful for the kids, the guys that came back here, as I've stated many times, the guys that could have went off into the real world and gave it a shot here this year. And we've had a lot of support here at the school. The coaching staff's been awesome. The kids have been great, and we just don't want it to end quite yet.
Chris Pincince, football coach here at the University of New Haven. Coach, as always, thanks for joining us here on the Dr. Z and J-Dub podcast. The way things are going, we'll see you next week.
I appreciate it. We'll see you Thursday at your house.
Memo to self. Cook dinner.
We know your wife can make brownies. Just have lots of those.
They would be happy with that, wouldn't they?
There you go.
Absolutely. Well, we thank Coach Pincince for being with us here on the program. Again, it's been a tremendous run. They get a chance to play Kutztown, a number 1 seed in the Super Region, coming up on Saturday in Pennsylvania. Kutztown, you think Andre Reed, at least I do.
I'm learning more and more here on the East Coast about each of these schools and what they bring to the table. And you educated me about that earlier today. So, yeah, certainly something to think about.
Andre Reed, the greatest wide receiver in Buffalo Bills history, Pro Football Hall of Famer. He was a member of those Bills teams, the 4 straight that went to the Super Bowl and came up empty each time. But the stadium where he played at Kutztown once upon a time, the stadium that the Chargers will be playing him is named after Andre Reed. And I guess we may not be surprised that you might see Andre Reed on Saturday. See, I'll ask you the same question I asked Coach Pince. Thanksgiving's Thursday. What are you thankful for?
A lot like what Coach said, but I'll start with, I'm 1,200 miles away from my kids, and I'll pick up 2 of them at the airport, Hartford tonight, one at 12:30 a.m. They keep booking those kind of flights, and I keep getting them then. But to have the family together, and the family's gonna better. But I'm grateful to our student athletes, our coaches, our staff, President Kaplan, the cabinet, all of our students, our faculty. I go on and on. Our alums are the best I've ever been around, and especially our athletic alums and our football alums. They've made me feel like part of the family. And, when this season's over, I'm going to have to go take a break. It's the only industry where you want to work more, especially through the holidays. And, Rob Thompson and John Mays are setting up way too many alumni donor social events. I'm not getting any sleep. And maybe one of these days when this is all over, I'll get a little sleep. And that
wraps up another edition of the Dr. Z and J-Dub podcast. We thank you very much for joining us. We thank our sponsors, Provenzano's Deli and the Charger Athletics Fund. For more information or how to donate, you can go to chargerathleticsfund.com. For producer Broccoli Rob Thompson, for executive producer John Mays, for Dr. Z, I'm J-Dub. Thanks for being here. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Dr. Z and J-Dub podcast.
Well, we were all going to eat at your house, so I'm surprised that you don't know. 5 o'clock.
I'll let my wife know.
I have to check the itinerary there.